Hey, Mr. Manager here with today's topic, and today we're going to be talking about what happens when somebody says no. Before we begin, of course, I just want to mention this is not official advice. This is me speaking about my own personal management experience and letting you just kind of decide if it's worth applying in your case or not. Okay, so I have two situations that I recall specifically where I had asked somebody to do something and they said no. And I'm going to give you kind of a quick summary of each of those and what I did and kind of the result of each. So the first one, I had somebody who was basically finishing their day and they were running out of time to do their task. And so I had another employee who also had some more time that day. In fact, even the next day, because we went off of, they were on salary. I could have really asked them to do anything, the next day. But to be fair, I reached out to one employee and said, hey, we didn't get this product delivered, and so I would like you to deliver it tomorrow. And immediately the message I got back was no. And so I was, I felt challenged and I felt like, okay, well, this is insubordination. And so I sent a message and said, well, I really do need you to do this. And they responded, I don't have the time. And I said, well, legally, I'm pretty certain you have the time, so I need you to send me your timesheet is what we'll call it. And they responded, no, I'm not going to do that. You don't trust me? And I said, well, at this point, I have every right to ask for your timesheet, and so I'd like you to send it to me. And at that point, they got even more defiant and said, well, if you're making me go get my timesheet, I'm going to clock myself in again. And at that point, with the laws and everything, then I won't have the time. And so they were being very difficult. And at that time, I said, okay, I can see this isn't going to go anywhere. And I reached out to the higher management above me, who contacted the individual, and magically the individual contacted me back and said, okay, I'll do it. I have the time. So it was avoidable. The point is, what you really don't want to do is get into arguments. And in this case, the person was belligerent and insubordinate to the point where I could have kept pushing the issue. And we went back and forth a little bit, as you had heard in the example. But anyway, you have to find out when that point is where you just draw the line and say, okay, you have your freedom to choose, and we'll get back with you. Okay, number two, after having the experience with this, same thing, I sent a message and said, I need you to pick this up. And the individual responded back, no. And that was it. And I said, well, this is an individual. It was a different person, but it was another individual who I constantly had to persuade. So I would ask them, they would say no, I would say please, and kind of talk them into it, and then they would do it. Okay. And that repeated itself over and over and over again. They continued to do the same thing. Every time I asked, they would always say no, and then I'd have to talk to them, and then they would end up doing it. So in this case, I let them say no, and that was it. When they got back, I had a written notification for insubordination saying that you refused to do what I asked you to do. They wanted to fight that and said, well, you didn't talk to me and continue persuading me to do it. And I said, I really don't have to do that. I asked you to do something and you said no. They even went as far to claim that they didn't have the time to do it, which I showed with time changes, and especially other people who had done the same job. They had plenty of time. And time changes, I mean, crossing different state lines where you have different time zones, that kind of thing. So anyway, in that case, I just accepted that they said no, made other arrangements, and then gave them a written notification. So it really depends on which way you want to go with it. You can be nice. You can give them informal warnings. Hey, I need you to do this. And If they continue to be insubordinate, say, okay, I need you to do this, and if you don't, it will result in an informal written notification or whatever you deem necessary. So anyway, that's how our company handled insubordination. So check your own policies and everything. But anyway, that was kind of an example. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, check the video description for more videos like this that I've made, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks.